Hotelier on the Grill.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Hotelier on the Grill, and this is Stuart J. Raj. We're sitting here with Justin Malcolm, who is the general manager of the Aloft Hotel in Sukhumvit Soi 11 in Bangkok, Thailand. Rather than me introducing Justin, could you just give us a quick introduction, who you are? Not too detailed. We'll get into more of that in the interview.
Sure, Stuart. Well, first of all, thanks for coming by and having a chat today. For those that I haven't met and listening to this, as Stuart said, I head up here Aloft Bangkok Sukhumvit 11. Have been here for just over 12 months. I've been fortunate enough to be with Starwood Hotels and Resorts for 18 years, surprisingly, and I've worked in some great locations and for 5 of our 9 brands over that time. So great to be in Bangkok, such a vibrant and happening place. Fantastic time to be here. Thank you, Stuart.
Fantastic. So let's get straight into the questions. 12 standard questions, and normally the first answer that comes to head is the best one. Question number 1. Where did you first cut your teeth in the hotel industry?
Well, it's a funny story, Stuart. I originally wanted to be a chef, surprisingly, and deferred university after I finished my 12th year in school and never went back. I started work at Sheraton Sydney Airport in Australia as a room attendant and really never looked back. I held almost every job in between since and ended up studying later, but that's where I really cut my teeth and learnt about hotel operations firsthand.
At the Sheraton Sydney Airport. And so question number 2 then, from that, what was your first big break?
I think I had a few big breaks, to be honest, Stuart, and the 2 that stand out that were really career defining for me were an opportunity I got after Sheraton Sydney Airport to work for a short-term contract in Phuket with our Sheraton Grand property at the time. And then I guess my second big break was when I was working at the Western Sydney, a property that I pre-opened, but a property that was really the first Western hotel in the Pacific region, so a very important property for us. And the general manager at the time obviously saw something and promoted me from an assistant department head role into a director's role. So that was really a big jump at the time and really career defining for me because I did sort of shape the future thereafter in terms of my moves.
Right, so that was after the Sheraton.
I was after Sheraton Grand. Yeah, I moved from Sheraton Grand in Phuket to open the Western Sydney in '99.
Right. And so question number 3, why were you able to make it to this place where you are now, where perhaps other people haven't been so successful?
I think it's twofold for me, Stuart, if I think about it carefully. And one is I've worked with some fantastic people that believe in taking chances on people. I think that's first and foremost, and Western Sydney is a prime example of that. The second is because personally I'm an extremely driven person in terms of setting myself some pretty high goals and really relentlessly chasing them. So they're probably the 2 things that play into where I am today.
Right. And so question number 4, looking at that experience from way back then to now, could you tell us perhaps of your darkest moment in your career?
Yeah, darkest moment. When we talk about darkest moments in hotels, they're always situations you never want to talk about, right? We see a lot in hotels from all walks of life. And I guess the one that sticks out for me is not a nice one, unfortunately. And it's related to an attempted suicide case in Sydney, where we were tipped off by the person's ex-wife, and we entered the room. And I did find the gentleman. Luckily, in time, we were able to revive him. So there is a good news part to this story,
Right.
even though it was a pretty dark time. But I guess the darkest time for me is really seeing the other side of life, where people really feel like there's no way out, and they really are at their desperate point. And to find suicide notes to children and things like that, it's not a nice thing to experience. So for me, that was not a nice thing to go through.
When you're in these kind of circumstances, for question number 5 then,
Yeah.
how do you get through that?
Well, hotels for me, and still are today, extended families. Hotel teams are usually pretty tight.
Right.
And so from that perspective, I had a number of wonderful, wonderful colleagues around me at the hotel, and of course the hotel itself, the management team at the time, extremely caring, and these are all very important parts of after an event like that in terms of getting through it. These are all people, and the management team at the time play a role in getting through that.
Right. So it's not a lone effort.
Definitely not a lone journey, I tell you that much.
Question number 6. What drives you?
What drives me? Well, I think first of all, I like to create opportunities for success, and what drives me as a result of that is the people that I work with being successful. Because I do think success creates success, and when I see that with hotel teams that I work alongside of, that really motivates me to do a better job.
Could you give an example of that?
Yeah, I mean, many times in our careers, and not just me, everybody will have had this experience where you've done exactly what people have done with me in my career, provided an opportunity for advancement or success, and then get out of the way and let that person get on with it. I really think that's an important part of people development.
That's a perfect segue into the next question then. Do you personally have a mentor, and if so, who and why?
I've had a lot of mentors in my career, and for many, many different reasons, both personally and professionally. If I talk about professionally, I've always surrounded myself with mentors that challenge me in terms of my way of thinking. And I've had a number of these people throughout my career. Obviously, one was certainly the general manager at the time in the Western Sydney that gave me the opportunity to advance significantly from an assistant department head role into a director's role. But I've had also very wonderful bosses who have always been my mentors. Even in Maldives, I had a wonderful area general manager, Brian Seagrave, who taught me so much about not only managing unconventionally, I guess, but also really managing in micro social environments like islands. So I learnt a lot during that time. And of course, my bosses today also provide mentorship to me, and I think that's something I certainly don't take for granted.
Right. And of course, you're being the mentor for the people under you as well now.
Well, you hope so, right? You always talk about what legacy you leave behind, and I hope one legacy that we all leave behind in leadership roles is that we do provide mentorship or mentor opportunities to others.
So question number 8, looking back at all those experiences from the Maldives, Sydney, here in Bangkok, Phuket, could you tell us of an experience in your career that's really made you proud?
There have been a lot, and for the reasons I've described, but I think the one that probably sticks out the most, I remember when I was working in Kuala Lumpur for the Western, and the company asked me to go to the Maldives. We had a huge task of branding a resort that we took a financial interest in as well. And I arrived a month before the global financial crisis. So we had this huge mission to rebrand, renovate and build new rooms in Sheraton property there, Sheraton Maldives. And it was a tough time. First of all, building anything in the middle of the ocean is tough, but going through the financial crisis at the same time really added a lot of pressure. And I felt myself, the management team, and of course my mentor at the time, Brian, we really stuck together and believed in what we did, and we got our hands dirty every day to go through that experience. And it really is one of our top performing resorts now in Asia Pacific. So I feel proud that we were able to do that. But I feel proud because not only did we do that as a team, but when you strongly believe in something that you're doing and you really stand up and you're convicted behind your approach every day, I guess for me the defining moment was that the company recognised that, and I was awarded the Most Inspiring Leader Award for South Asia in 2009. So something that I'm very, very proud of even today.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, yeah.
Question number 9, that we see so many hotels opening up here in Thailand and all over the place, which means more GMs. What's the best advice that you could give somebody that's looking to be a successful GM?
I think in this day and age, and particularly in the last, say, 5 or so years, maybe a little bit longer, where we see a huge surgence of social media and the influence that technology now plays in our daily life in hotels, coupled with the fact that we as an industry always measured things a lot. There's a lot of data around now, and I think it's easy to get caught up in a lot of information. So I think for me, it's really about grassroots actions. So I think it's never, sorry, I shouldn't say it's never. It's always important to remember that interacting with your guests, interacting with your business partners, interacting with your staff are still extremely important parts of the business, not to be underestimated.
So don't just get caught in the statistics.
Yeah, I mean it's easy not to talk to people actually in this day and age. You've really got to make an effort. So for me, that's still a very much an important part of running a hotel.
So kind of on the flip side, question 10, what's one thing that hotel GMs shouldn't get wrong, or maybe that you've seen them getting wrong?
One thing that when you ask me that question, I guess I relate that to my personal career journey. And I think if I look at reasons why I've been successful to date, I'd like to think that they're reasons that I would want to not get wrong in the future. And that is really about people and taking chances on people. So like I said before, providing and searching relentlessly for opportunities for people to be successful, but then more importantly, get out of the way and let them get on with the job. So that's something that I'm very committed to personally.
So not micromanaging.
Yeah, I don't think that's a strong attribute, to be honest.
So moving on to our last hotelier-based question. If you weren't in the hotel industry, what's your ideal alternate career?
Could I say retire now? I love car racing, so for me it would have to involve the racing industry in some way, shape or form. So getting, there are, I guess, similarities but big differences at the same time. The car racing industry is fast-paced, hotel businesses are fast-paced. Every day's different, but I guess the excitement of being on a racetrack and the adrenaline and being part of successful teams is still part of what I'd want. But I think in the racing car industry, I'd love to experience that.
And do you race yourself now?
I used to race a car in Australia. I don't race now, but I haven't raced since I left Oz.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. That's there are our 11 hotelier-based questions. Our 12th question is kind of off the hotelier agenda a little, but it gives us an insight into who you are with all the technology these days. Question number 12. What's one app that you're currently using or you're hooked on or that's caught your attention that you could recommend or would like to mention to our audience?
Yeah, I don't know if this is boring, but I love news, so I read a lot of news, and I use an app called SkyGrid, which I don't know if you've heard of it. But SkyGrid is, and there's many of these apps around, but this one's quite good in the sense that you can really sort of choose the topics that you really want to focus on, and you get pushed all of those that news content daily or hourly. It's really sort of real time. So I choose like nine or so different categories, and I get that pushed into me. But I guess from a personal level, I like an app called TuneIn Radio. I don't know if you've heard that either, but this app allows users to stream and listen to radio stations from anywhere in the world. So on a weekend, I love to listen to radio stations in Sydney, and close your eyes and it takes you back. So it's nice when you're working away from home to have a little bit of a connection to home every now and then. So that's a great personal app that I listen to on the weekends.
I concur. Yeah. We also use that in the gym, turning on a selected radio station. It's great. And I actually noticed here in the hotel, it's run by an app as well, or people can have their experience via the app as well.
We do. We're a technologically driven brand, so we try and stay on, I guess, cutting edge opportunity as it relates to providing technological applications for guests. And we have a touch room concept here where we hand out phones to apps that have the ability for you to control everything in your room. But not only that, it acts as a wireless hotspot as you move around, gives you a local number and allows you the connectivity that you need when you're on the move, either for business or for leisure. So we've had great feedback about that, and we're looking forward to launching the next phase of that, which should be in the next couple of months.
Well, I've seen some of the articles and seen it in action down here. It's absolutely amazing. Well, on behalf of Hotelier Herald and Hotelier on the Grill, I'd like to thank you very much, Justin. It's been an honor and a pleasure having you with us here and sharing your experiences. And it's indeed the new generation of GM. You have the traditional roots, but you're also taking it into the future of where hotels are heading.
Let's hope so. But Stuart, I'd equally like to thank you for taking the time to have a chat today. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Justin.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hotelier on the Grill.